Simple Telelcom Tools from wireless applications. Today we're going to be in the SiteSync product, and our scenario for this demo is, I am a tower company, and I just received search rings from a new potential client and I need to see if there's any hits. We're going to start off in the SiteSync product, logged in and going into the portfolios and a look at what we've already loaded from the past. And that is, I'm going to pretend I'm a tower company and I've already loaded up a few of my sites nationwide. I'm going to focus on the Washington area. As we mouse over this particular portfolio, we can see all the sites in summary. If we check the little star icon here, it puts it into the favorites for our thumbnails to show up on top. Clicking into that opens up the portfolio. And then we can quickly see what kind of sites we have and what kind of sites are available to us. So now what we want to do is look at the portfolio that came into us. It came in as a typical Excel sheet. Let's open that Excel up and take a look at how they formatted their information. Most companies are getting better and better at providing clean search rings and leaving a single header up on top, nice and clean, which is what we need for the import. This next row and the rows underneath should all be data. So just take a quick look at what they gave you. Sometimes their lats and longs are very bad, so take a look at what kind of format they gave. We can take either decimal or DMS, giving you the option of either format. Hopefully they have site names and some heights that they're looking for in their requested data. Next we go into what kind of ways there are to get a portfolio into the tool. Throughout the SiteSync tool we can push from structure searches, microwave searches, and push data directly into making a portfolio. In this case, we're going to go back to the portfolio section and upload that spreadsheet. But first, I will show you a little bit of a sample of what kind of layouts we need for our inputs. If we click on this little download link here, we can open up this sample Excel. It shows us a few of the formats that SiteSync Pro needs. These are typically very easy, the layouts of the cell site ID, name, lat, long and structure heights. Those are some of the absolutes that we need. And then after that we go through all these other fields that you can upload, and there is a lot of them, just for the sites, and we can also upload paths if throws are needed, and that one has a great deal of additional fields. On some of these field headers we put a little mouse over, so you can read what is typically needed. What is key in uploads for SiteSync Pro is if you keep these headers clean, and you name them in the same or similar name formats, we will auto-match to those and many more, but it will make it a lot easier on your uploads. Next we're going to upload that search ring file that they gave us. Looking at those search rings from the client, it shows there are 50 of those. On the upload process, we click it and this will run through and look at the evaluation of that entire Excel and its tabs. In this particular one, the main tab will give you a thumbnail if we see lat and longs. We'll also give you which tabs exist up in the top area, and because some spreadsheets might have multiple tabs, this means you want to identify which tab it is that has your data that you're looking for. The heat map is very useful in the sense that it quickly looks through the lat and longs and just lays them out where you can know right now that they didn't give you sites, let's say 2 or 3 of them, way over in Florida or something, when they should belong in Washington state. In the data filtering area with various pull downs, the My Consolidated Sites is our special analysis. What that does is if the uploader sees 2 locations within about 50 feet of each other, it'll consider that and consolidate them. This may help if on their search rings, maybe they gave you multiple sites at same location after giving you 1,000 search rings or something. Another checkbox is Calculate Missing Elevation. This always defaults to DM30. If they didn't give you any heights, it's always good to have something in this field when you're loading sites. We personally use the number 97 because it's a unique number, and whenever you see that number in SiteSync throughout, you will know where it came from. You might be doing propagation or microwave path and see that 97 number, you know it hasn't been fixed. Down below the auto matching that we discussed earlier, we auto match every field. These are the field names on the left, and then which pull down match to the spreadsheet itself. So in this case we matched directly to the word site name, to site name, because we already fixed that Excel. But if they are not matching to some of these fields, you just simply pull the list down and you choose the one that is there. We also give you some stats on the side here, so we look in those fields to see if they're real, and we'll show the mints and maxes for lat and longs, what percentage of the data is sitting there for each one of them. If it says 0% empty, then that means every field had some data in it. That's a good sign. Company name, we don't really need anything in this one, we'll just leave that blank, and then we're ready to upload. We will name this, My Search Rings from the Client, and save to Portfolio. Now this is physically importing them into SiteSync. It runs through a few different calculations here to give some feedback. You can review those sites, as sometimes there might be some that are over 1,000 feet tall that should not be, and this gives alerts to that. It will also give you statistics of that portfolio too. We will hit continue, and take a look at this particular portfolio. We definitely see that their dots are inside of Washington State. If we go up into the thematics, we can look a little bit deeper into some labeling on them if needed. If we select Consolidate, for the information of the labels, we can see the names or can even select something more interesting, such as the structure heights. Since they gave us those, we can label by heights needed. We can see that the majority of these sites are pretty much all under 200 feet. Now we know we have that portfolio uploaded and it looks good. To do the search ring analysis, we're going to actually go into structures. If we middle click on that, it will open up a new tab so we can keep these other ones open. And when we go into that tab, we directly click on Advanced to see the additional filter option. For this particular search ring analysis, we don't want any results from the main databases such as the FCC, FAAs, or tower companies because we're not interested in that output. For this, we only care about our towers as the results. This means we want the database source to be our towers. Click on the My Portfolios, and because we had labeled this with something with MY, we will filter by the text My, and there's my tower company. I got 729 of those. We hit Go, that assigns them as the database result source. Now we want to do a search ring based off of each one of the sites that came from that incoming search ring portfolio. They sent in 50 locations. Now, what this is telling me is instead of just a single point and doing a radius, I'm saying for every one of these 50 sites, do a radius around that site and return from the database, sites from my towers. We're gonna click this and assign a 3-mile search ring. That's pretty typical whether it's in a metropolitan area or not. This is really all you need for this search. The results, seen quickly, are in the map as well as down below the map. If we want to just take a peek at this, we see we have 31 records hit. This does not mean unique individual sites we hit, because we might have had multiple towers in overlapping rings. Zooming to this one ring down on I-5, we can do a rubber band zoom into that location. We see that their search ring site is in the middle and 3 miles out had 2 hits of our towers. We would probably want the one that matches height or the closest one to theirs. Down below the map, we have zoom features for the mapping. You can click this little zoom to filter, and it will reset the map to the extents of the filtered data in the map. The data down below the map is what we're looking for, the results. Each one of these records is showing the search ring that came into us or the dot location. And then if there are resulting hits into that. How this works is, this Remington 21 site had 3 hits of our towers. We only really want probably the closest one to it. The list is sorted by distance. We're going to start checking the boxes to say, okay, I got a hit here. Camino Island, got a hit on that one. We will just quickly check these to all the closest ones to the pin, as I call it. There's Kent and Spokane, both got a hit, Windlock, Odessa, Athela, Port Angeles, Port Townsend. We're almost done here. We had 31 hits. Looks like the last one is in Yakima, 1 mile away. It looks like we had 18 unique, closest to the pin records for all the hits. Now that we checked all the boxes for those 18 records, what we're going to do next is, we're going to push these hits into another portfolio. We could also, depending on your preference, could export just those hits into Excel as well. We're going to add them to a portfolio. On this pop-up, we normally want to do the consolidate again. However, in this case, we don't really need it because we only had a few hits in here, but this is something useful in the sense that if there's sites that are on top of each other, even if it came from your own tower database, you can clean that up a little bit here. We want to name this into a new one. We're gonna call it My Results. I'll just also label it with a little character. This gave us the results, and we can now open that just to make sure that we got our 18 hits. This is the hits that came back from that. Once again, we could checkbox all of these and push those to an Excel if you wanted to just say, hey, here's all the ones that we have hits of your search rings. We had 18 of our sites picked. Take a look at those. Now I ask, what is the other big value we could do for this company in search of colocates? Do you know what gets you extra rent dollars? Microwave backhaul. If you could get some microwave dishes on that tower at the same time as adding their RF antennas, you might actually not only gain that customer's extra backhaul experience off of your tower, but you're also going to most likely keep that customer for a longer lease term because it's harder to move microwave systems. So how do we do that? We're going to go into Search Filed Microwave, the component up on top here in the Tools menu. We then click right away into the Advanced Filtering, because for this particular client we know their name. They are the State of Washington. We're going to type that name into the box here, and for them we are going to type their exact FCC spelling of their entity, or you can also pull down existing names that get populated from the entity Rolodex-like component. We will type in a portion of their name. Then what we want to do is the checkbox for high-low. This will thin out some of the record counts because we're just looking for the layout of their system. We will need to drop a search pin and blow that out. Let's try 200 miles, that should be plenty. We'll change that location a little bit, and that's it. Let's hit search. What might be very surprising is when you're using this tool, is to see how much network many of the carriers and other wireless companies do have. In this entity search, it is a pretty large network supporting their backhaul. What we are trying to do here, is using our sites from the hit list from their search rings, is to see what else can you provide to them, as in backhaul. Let's take their network and push it over into a portfolio. To do that, we click on the All link to checkbox all records, then More Actions, and we're going to push to New Portfolio. In this case we will call it something easy. Let's say Washington. State. Network. On microwave, it is very important to hit Consolidate, which we have on by default. That is because each one of these individual locations is a physical FCC filing, and it might have a single site in 29 different filings, thus you'll have that 29 times when pushed. What this does is it cleans those up to one single location, and then all the paths off of that. We'll go into this step and then we're going to go ahead and just click straight into that portfolio. What we are looking for is to upsell our tower services, find out what else we can provide them, from our results, how they stack up into their existing network. We are in portfolios again, and we're going to open Advanced, then going to layer in our other portfolio that we had made, which was the resulting 18 hits. Now this will refresh and layer up both. The gray dots are our hits. This was our 18 sites that we had hits, then the background is all their existing microwave. What can you do with this, you ask? We're going to check easily if we can see backhaul for them too. Hit our eReach link. This tool is available on the top of the map for using throughout SiteSync. We're going to pull this little window down and then say we want at least 40-mile paths. We get a drop-day icon in the map. Now hold down the Shift key, and as you get close to one of your gray dots, this will snap your mouse to that site and its information, pulling the height of the record. Now just hit Run. This is what you're looking for, success. These blue lines are showing you that you have microwave opportunity. We see it going down into this part of the network, going up into here, and even a third one. So the question is, what if you could not only get RF antennas as your lease, but also get 3 other center lines on your contract? This is huge value for both you and your client. Let's try another one now. Let's try this guy over here. Just hit run again. Looking at that, lots of opportunity. And you just do this on the sites of yours that you had hits on, and maybe you give them this output for show. Then they can see, oh, not only could I use your site for RF, but if I can't get telco to that site fast enough, or fiber, I can use microwave backhaul. Which is very popular, and wireless applications also does both design and coordination, which is also built into SiteSync. So that is it. Thank you very much.